Hello, 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 everybody. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. So good to be with you on this Sunday night. I hope my microphone's close enough. I just realized I didn't set that up. But this thing will pick up the kids upstairs. So there's that. Anyway, hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. It's good to be with you tonight. We've got a lot to cover because we have a very active pattern across the lower 48, as you'd expect for this time of year. We had obviously system over the weekend that moved on out. We've got another one that's moving in from the south, and a couple potential storm systems this week. There's really two that I'm watching. Each one could bring us around to severe weather. So I want to make sure we're on top of that. And then we're going to go look long term. We've got a couple things to look at. The drought is something that we'll kind of monitor. I want to let you know where we stand as we're getting stuff planted in the ground. Perhaps is it too soon to plant? Can we do it now? We'll talk all about that. Just a lot to cover here today. So we'll jump right into it. I want to thank our early birds here. We have Reedmo with us on our YouTube channel. Hi, Reedmo. Hope everything's weekend. A little bit chilly today, if you ask me. Jill's with us, doing well. Jeff, good evening to you. Wendy, happy Sunday to you. Mary's with us. Linda's with us as well. Jeff says he's going to put his garden in next week. Jeff, I don't think that's a bad idea, but there's going to be a day to watch in mid-May. We'll talk about that. Jill's with us. Hello, Jill. Michelle as well. Happy Sunday to you. Thank you guys for spending time with me as well. All right, here's what we're dealing with. Let me thank our sponsors first and foremost. Navigating the world of life insurance and Medicare Supplement Advantage, stuff like that. It's a mess. That's where Minogue.life comes into play. Michael's been serving Northwest Indiana and educating Northwest Indiana around these things for a long time. And he's got a lot of people that rely on him to get through the weeds in terms of all that stuff. So if you have any questions around Medicare or what you should be paying for or life insurance, do you need it? And what age can you drop it? All that stuff. If you have questions, it's a free consultation. Michael's wonderful. Just reach out to him. It's Minogue.life. You see it there up at the top of the screen. That's the website. Minogue.life is the place to go. He's local to Northwest Indiana, and he's putting his passion and knowledge around something that a lot of us don't have passion or knowledge around. He's putting that to good use, and he's been doing great work. So Minogue.life is a place to go. PSA, those are our public service adjusters. They do wonderful work here in the region. If you have an insurance claim, whether it be storm damage, whether it be flood damage, pipe bursts in your house, whatever it happens to be. I mean, there's so many insurance claims. They'll handle everything from start to finish. You don't have to contact your insurance agency. They'll do it for you. You go to publicserviceadjusting.com first. They're all local to Northwest Indiana. They're licensed, insured. They've got 5-star reviews across the board. Why go to them? Because they will get you maximum amount of money from your insurance company, whereas your insurance company is going to up your rate and give you the lowest bottom dollar for whatever you need to replace, and they won't allow that to happen. Check out the reviews on their webpage. I mean, and they're all legit reviews too. 5 stars across the board. They have saved so many people so much money and gotten them a lot more. Publicserviceadjusting.com. Ewing Mechanical Services. Guys, it's AC season around here, whether we like to admit it or not. They have May-only specials around new AC systems. You can get them installed and ready to go in the next couple of weeks. You can get them for $3,900. That's crazy cheap. And they're not cheap. They're Amanas or Amana or however you pronounce that. We have one of those, and it's been great. We've had ours for about 5 years now and hasn't kicked the bucket yet. That's good. And we use it in the winter when it gets hot. So there's that. Anyway, Ewing MECH is the place to go. Local, family-owned, awesome. TigerPlumbing.com or TigerPlumbing.net, sorry. That's the place to go for plumber. You guys are familiar with them. They've been with us for over 2 years now. They're just fantastic. You can schedule your plumbing appointment online. You can do it on your phone. You'll see the picture of the person that's coming. They come out for free. I mean, how much better can it get? And they do great work. If you have something like a faucet you need installed, something simple like that, and maybe you don't know how to do it, that's okay. Let them do it. This is also outdoor spigot season. If your outdoor spigot to your garden hose is leaking, you don't want that. You don't want water going places it shouldn't. They can come over and fix that. Again, they come out for free, which is awesome. TigerPlumbing.net. Finally, last but not least, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They have a wonderful line of brand new 24 Jeeps on the lot, ready to go. The doors come off. The floors stay, which is good, but the doors come off. The roof comes off. You can drive around like it's convertible. Just keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, place to go for other cars too, but especially Jeeps. All right. Thanks for letting me get through that, everybody. We love our sponsors. In terms of our weather, I see what your comment, Jill. Jill says she watched my church prayer, impressed with my story. Love your faith. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, I had the pleasure on Friday, this last Friday, They had a prayer breakfast in a county that I grew up here in Northeast Ohio, and they asked me to come out and speak. And I didn't know what I was going to speak about, but the Lord led me to write a speech about how I met my wife, which is a crazy story. A long time. I mean, we've known each other probably almost 30 years now, which is crazy. We were best friends. She put me in the friend zone. More on that. Anyway, and then about my career. So I don't really enjoy talking about all that stuff. It feels kind of awkward and icky to me. But it's out there and it's on YouTube and it's on. If you guys follow my Facebook page, it's Matt Wentz. It's a meteorologist. I look all professional in it. It's not the one with my kids. It's my personal page. But anyway, I posted it on there, and the whole speech is on there too. So that was just a wonderful thing, Jill, that I got to participate in. So I appreciate the comments on that. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Okay, here we go. And Derek's with us as well. Ethan, I see you on here as well. Yeah, Ethan, in terms of Tuesday, I know you're bringing that up in terms of severe weather. I'm not overly concerned on it. The timing's kind of off on the whole thing. I'll get a better look tomorrow morning when I dive in. But yeah, we're certainly running the gamut here in terms of severe weather chances. So, all right, so let's dive in. Here's what we're dealing with. We have a system coming at us from the Missouri Valley right now. It's got some rain and storms with it. It'll slide just down to our south as we go throughout the overnight and the daytime tomorrow. So we're not worrying about this one, which is right here. This one out towards the west, though, I mean, just look at it. It's a big old swirl going on. You got a nice Pacific flow coming into it. You guys, it's been off. You know how we have springs sometimes that are just awful, where like it's April and May, like now, and it doesn't warm up, and it's just in the 40s every day, 40s and 50s, and like the trees are barely doing their thing. This has not been one of those years, obviously. The West is having one of those years. They continue to get snow and rain and snow in areas like Montana and northern Wyoming. I mean, these are places that, yes, you get it this time of year, but they also warm up this time of year, and they usually see foliage out. It's just been one storm after another producing rain and snow for them. It just has not warmed up out west. So just be thankful. I know it's been kind of rainy. We've had some clouds around, blah, blah, blah. I mean, not obviously not with this weekend, but in the past. Don't complain, all right, because it's really bad out west. Okay. And this system's just doing it again. It's just doing it again to them. Oh, those poor Westerners. Anyway, so that system's going to come east, and this is the one that brings kind of a 2-day severe weather threat. I'm looking at one Tuesday, and then I'm looking at another one Wednesday. They're different low pressures, but they're two different pieces of energy off that same system. Okay, so that's what we're looking at Tuesday, Wednesday. Just to give you a heads up, and then we turn cooler this weekend. That's kind of the big picture. I do want to catch us up because a lot of us are planting. There are a lot of farmers in the Hoosier State that are, hey, where are we in terms of ground moisture? Do I need to, get the irrigators out, all that stuff? What we're dealing with right now is no drought. Okay, we were getting into a drought as we entered spring, but we've had enough rain here recently to negate that. And even the drought in the nation's Corn Belt is getting better as well. Iowa's got the worst drought right now. They still have extreme drought in spots. They've been getting some pretty decent rounds of storms through there with some heavy rain. There's more to come, so I'm really not overly concerned about that. I think they'll see improvement over the next week and a half. Notice there's some drought down by St. Louis, and then there's just south of St. Louis, and then up in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Okay, so this was much more prolific over the last couple of weeks. It's improved. That's good news. And I think I mentioned last week that we do not want a drought. We don't want to drought locally, right? But we also don't want to drought just off towards our west, because what can happen with that is you can build these big domes of heat that are worse because of the drought, and it doesn't take much for that heat to get in here. And I'm talking like 90s and 100s, okay? We don't want to go back to the Dust Bowl, okay? All right, so that's what we're dealing with in the plains is drought, but it's improving. Okay, so I'm not too concerned, but those are the areas that have it. All right. Okay, so that system that's out west right now, let's track it east because that's our first severe weather threat. Here's our Monday system. See how the rain slides just down to our south. We'll get some clouds off of this after some sunshine tomorrow. I'm not concerned with that. You can see how it moves, just down to our south and kind of fades. And then, whoa, what's this coming at us? This is that first kind of spoke of energy coming off that system from the plains. This is going to produce widespread severe weather. All right. And this is tomorrow night. Okay. So this is Monday afternoon, Monday night into Tuesday morning. All right. This thing is going to be rocking and rolling. There will be tornadoes with us. There's plenty of wind shear. You've got jet energy coming out of the west. You've got a southeasterly flow at the surface. When we talk about shear, that's it right there. When you have wind out of the southeast, okay, it's coming from this direction here at the surface, and then you go up, 10,000 feet, whatever it is, you got wind coming out of the west. That wind has to change direction somehow. It has to go from the southeast to the west. Okay, that's what shear is. So as so that's churning of wind with height, right? As those thunderstorm clouds grow into that twisting of wind, all right, that the whole storm can twist. Okay, and that's where we get supercell stuff like that. And there's going to be numerous supercell activity out in the plains. Okay, tomorrow. So please be wary of that. If you're a storm geek like I am, it's going to be a night to watch tomorrow night out in the plains. Okay, so hopefully it's not too bad, but I have a feeling it's going to be pretty bad. What happens is, as we go into tomorrow night and Tuesday, that whole chunk of supercells and all the storms, well, models are indicating, again, this isn't truth, but it's an idea. Models indicate that whole cluster of showers and storms that are severe will form into a giant line. Okay, and this line segment, it actually has derecho potential for this. This line segment is going to have lots of wind damage along it. Okay, and it is going to race towards us. All right. Timing, though, on this isn't ideal. So you can see as it moves in, it's fading, but it's still pretty legit in terms of a line. And this is going to move in Tuesday morning. All right. And I can remember, I remember the last couple of years, even this, but I can remember as a kid, mornings like this. And this is kind of how I think Tuesday is going to play out. Tomorrow we're fine, right? But this is Tuesday. This is kind of how I think Tuesday is going to play out, where you wake up in the morning and you've got just a line of storms racing in from the west, where the sky is, you're fine, and then the sky all of a sudden starts turning darker quicker, and then you get this shelf cloud basically that comes in, and you get a real hit of rain and wind and lightning, and then it's out of here like nothing happened. That's kind of what the markings of this Tuesday morning is going to look like locally, where we'll be tracking some kind of huge line of severe weather out towards our west. It's going to outrun where the energy is. The energy is still going to be back here, okay, and it gets too far away from that. It's outflow driven. But either way, we could get a line of severe storms through here Tuesday morning. And damaging winds would be the utmost risk from this, would be damaging winds. Can't rule out a tornado if this were to verify, okay, but the models are grasping on this scenario. Can't rule out a tornado to with something like this. Our dynamics aren't nearly as good as they are out towards the west. How many times have I said that, right? But we'll have to keep our eye on that. So Tuesday morning, again, you want to have a heads up. I'll be working bright and early, so I'll get you through it. All right. No worries about me getting up. We'll have an update for you tomorrow night on kind of how this evolves. And the models may shift, and this may not happen. We may have a chunk to the north, chunk to the south. We get some storms in here. But I just want to let you know the models have been pretty consistent in developing some kind of squall line that moves through here Tuesday morning. Okay. After that moves through, we quiet down, and it's like nothing happened. And we actually start warming up on Tuesday. Winds will turn out of the southwest. I've got our high Tuesday at 76. So, we'll have a cooler start. We'll be in the 60s for much of the morning with the rain and storms. And then temps will bounce up in the afternoon and evening. That's when we'll get our highs. Okay. So that's an early look at kind of how this evolves. I do want to show you the NAM nest. It's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same, if that makes sense. You can see it develops as severe weather out in the plains. You get the squall line, but watch how this fades the squall line before it moves in. All right. So what we can gather from this is that we will have some kind of line moving in Tuesday morning. It will be in a fading or weakening phase, but the big question is, how weak is it when it gets here? Does it still have some potency to it, or is it just a line of showers with some strong winds? Either way, we'll get strong winds off of it. How strong is determined by how much energy is left with this line when it moves in. Okay. Then that moves through and we clear out for a little bit. And notice how, the NAM nest develops a couple of extra storms in the wake of that Tuesday afternoon. I don't really see that happening here locally. Maybe out east and towards Ohio, but I don't see that happening locally. And then here's where I'm going to jump next. Okay, so Tuesday morning, you can see this next wave of energy coming in. Okay, we still have some warmth and humidity around. This is our next severe weather threat in my mind on Wednesday, and I'm not seeing a lot of chatter around that yet. So Storm Prediction Center, here's tomorrow, big threat, big bullseye threat. This is from that line of severe storms that will develop tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. And then as we get into Tuesday, if this loads, I could show you Notice how everything's kind of east of us. We're still in it, but it's east of us. That's because of the timing of that. Remember, it comes through, it's moving in at night, and then in the morning it's moving through, and then it's out, and it kind of reignites out towards the east. Okay. So that's what we're dealing with in terms of severe weather for round one. I want to show you round two. Okay. We're going to go long term here as well with this. Here's your line on the Euro that it's depicting Tuesday morning. And then we clear out, but we still got a southwest flow. Here's our next severe weather threat right here. Okay. This is, I'm not saying it's more concerning to me. It just looks a little bit more legit in terms of severe weather potential for us locally. And the reason why is we're going to have another area low pressure that develops. That front will kind of move through. There'll be a washed out front that kind of stalls, and then a new low comes out of the plains. That low pressure is a lot closer to us. Okay. The low pressure itself is where the energy is. And I do feel like on Wednesday, we'll have some more energy in the atmosphere. We won't have a dying line of storms in. We'll have stuff that fires up. So there's a severe weather threat in my mind, and that would be Wednesday. All right. Timing on that would probably be later Wednesday into Wednesday evening. And then Thursday, we'll have some lingering stuff around, but I don't see a severe threat on Thursday. Once that low goes by, it continues to strengthen. And notice we now have a wind coming off the lake Thursday afternoon, and that will continue into Friday. Temperatures are going to get a little chilly around here, pretty reminiscent of what we dealt with today, where we've got real cooler conditions near the lake, most of us holding in the 50s, some 60s down to the south. I think we'll do that all over again Thursday and Friday. And then as we look ahead to next weekend, as of right now, it looks dry on Friday. Saturday, we'll have some kind of frontal boundary or system that zips through, keeping us on the cooler side. And then Sunday looks dry as of right now. So I know a lot of us have plans. It's Mother's Day weekend coming up. Yes, gentlemen that are watching, it is Mother's Day weekend coming up next weekend. And as of right now, it doesn't look too bad. I don't see any big storm systems. There's nothing attaching to the Gulf of Mexico like we've had these last couple storm systems. So anything that comes at us would be kind of showery in nature and not expecting anything else. Okay. All right. That's that. All right, and final thing here, and then I'll answer your questions. Temperatures, what do we do temperature-wise? We turn cooler this weekend. I'll put some days on here, that way you can see it. But you notice how we're nice and mild next couple days. Not a lot of humidity, but some. And then notice we drop off. This is that wind off the lake Thursday. I've got us at 72 tomorrow, so I'm a little lower. I've got us at 76 Tuesday. I've got us at 79 Wednesday, so I'm going a little warmer than guidance on Wednesday. I've got us at 61 on Thursday. Again, I forecast for Porter County Airport. That way we can measure it because they measure the temperature there. So a little bit cooler near lake, a little bit warmer for you down in Newton, Jasper County. I've got us at 61 on Friday, so a little cooler as well. And then 65 Saturday, that's pretty close. And then I've got us at 70 on Mother's Day. So my numbers are a little bit different than obviously computer models, but it's just a forecast. So there's that. Okay. All right, so that's what I've got. Let's answer your questions, and we'll get you on your way here on this Sunday night, okay? Hopefully that kind of helps explain what we're looking at this week, okay? All right, let's see. Mark's with us. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that. Mark reminds us election day on Tuesday. Thank you, Mark. Everything looks okay if you go later in the day, but boy, if you're hitting the polls early, we'll have to keep an eye on that storm. Okay, Ruth took a gamble and she planted their garden yesterday. I didn't touch on this. I forgot. Here's your cooler nights. Okay. These aren't frost producing, but we don't want to see any change to the models. Okay. If this goes a little bit colder, we could have frost Saturday morning and Friday morning. Those are 2 cool mornings. I don't see it right now. What I am looking at in the long term, though, May 15th, sometime in here, the Euro's picking up on a pretty decent hit of some chillier air. It's nothing crazy, but it would take our lows into the upper 30s on the Euro, waking up Wednesday, May 15th. Again, this is a shot in the dark. I just want you to know frost potential isn't quite done yet. All right. Ruth, I don't blame you for getting the plants in the ground. We should be okay. I'm planning on doing the same thing. The 4 kids kind of slow us down in terms of what we want to get done. But in terms of frost, there's still potential there. Now, if it does freeze, if we do have a frost later on this month, okay, which is possible, it's nothing that you can cover stuff up, okay, and it'll be fine. So I would get stuff in the ground if I were you. I don't blame you. I think it's fine, but just be wary. We're not typically climatologically out of the frost risk yet. Okay, so there's that. But I'm glad you did that. So that's cool. I don't feel bad then. Tom says his grass is going way too fast. That's crazy. Ethan, yeah, in terms of the severe threat on Wednesday, I mean, I see it. We'll see how it evolves. Things with these complexes of showers and storms and frontal boundaries, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Wednesday's threat it's there. You just recognize it. It doesn't mean we need to even forecast it yet. Okay. Way too soon. And I'm going to use an example. This past weekend, I thought we'd have more rain around with this low pressure, and we didn't. It just didn't have enough moisture with it. And so, things change with these storm systems, and the direction changes, the potency changes, stuff like that. So let's just recognize that there's a threat Tuesday morning. Okay, we can kind of hone in on the Tuesday morning thing. The Wednesday thing, we'll just recognize it right now. We'll start forecasting it a day or so out, because there's nothing we can do about it right now anyway. So good call on that. Let's see. Oh, Angel asked a great question. She says, what are you referring to when you say the plains? I feel silly asking. That's not silly at all, Angel. So, Angel, the plains are like the Great Plains. There's the central and northern plains. Basically, as you go west from here until you reach the Rocky Mountains and the Great Divide, it's plains. It's very flat land. That's considered a plain. And that's what these are called out, like Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, the Midwest, essentially. The western part of the Midwest are the central and northern plains. Then there's the southern plains as well. This whole area here, basically where Tornado Alley is, those are in the plains. So great call on that. David says, do we have to seek shelter in Porter County on Tuesday or Wednesday and Wednesday? David, too early to tell on that, buddy. So in terms of predicting, David, whether we need to seek shelter or not, that's kind of a nowcast thing where we have to look at the radar and see what's happening. And that's why we get watches and warnings. Watches let us know that, hey, we might need to seek shelter on certain times, and there's usually a time span on that when a watch is issued. And a warning is when we say, okay, you do need to seek shelter now. Okay. So we kind of wait on that. So Mike says they were chemtrailing the region today. Mike, those are high cirrus clouds off of the storm to the west, but I do understand that some people think that. So there's that. And Mike, if there is weather modification, I understand that I get a lot of these emails. I understand that they are able to have weather modification. They can cloud seed. They can do stuff like that. Totally get it. It's a science. If they could send some rain to my house, that would be great, because it's been very dry the last 2 weeks, and our plants actually need it. So they're not doing their job if that's the case. Main threat, Timothy, on Wednesday is now Wednesday could have all modes of severe weather. I would say hail and strong winds would be the primary risk. But I mean, it's way too early. I don't want to throw the T word out there already. The threat is there for severe weather on Wednesday. It's too soon to tell exactly how it will evolve. But that low pressure is going to be close to us. So we could have a tornado threat, whether it be locally or whether it be somewhere in the Ohio and Missouri Valley. Either way, that system does look pretty decent to me on Wednesday behind that. Okay. Maxwell, that's a good question. You think it's safe to plant watermelons and other plants? We've got some chillier nights coming up, Maxwell, that are going to be in the 40s. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. Watermelons don't like temperatures in the 40s. Okay. They don't like ground temperatures in that. Most plants typically like 55 degrees or higher, where it doesn't get colder than 55 at night. All right. And we're not quite there yet. You could still do it though. It's going to give you a head start of probably a week or two. And you can cover them up on those cooler nights, keep them warm. You want to water them right before you cover them up, helps keep some moisture, trap some heat. So there's that. So I don't want to tell you yes or no. I probably would if I were you, just because I don't see any real cold spells coming up. All right. So there's that. Tom, great question on the rainfall. Let me give you an update here. The potential's there for quite a bit. I mean, this is through, let me give you a realistic time frame here. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's through Saturday. So this is for the week. Pretty decent amounts, but it's hodgepodge. So it's tough to pin an exact number. I mean, we just have to look at trends for this, because thunderstorms don't drop rain evenly. Porter County might get a ton of rain, and then Newton County doesn't get any. Okay. That's why you see kind of checkerboard pattern here, but potential's there for anywhere from a half an inch to maybe up to 2 inches if we get some good thunderstorms. But I would probably go in the half inch to inch range. Okay. Overall, but this is good. I mean, you see the rain in Iowa. They need the rain in Iowa, and they're getting some really raining down towards Tennessee. At least potential's there with some of that. Okay. Remo, sure. I'll take a look for you. He says, take a look at the 18th in the long range. So we'd have to go GFS for that, which, there's not much accuracy, but let's look at it. I don't mind looking. We can see kind of what the trends are here. Okay, so here's GFS. This is the 11th of May. We should get there barely. Yeah, here you go. So the GFS, again, this will change, but as of right now, it has a pretty potent cold front coming through here Friday the 17th, and that would bring cooler air but dry weather. As of right now on the GFS, again, wait a couple minutes, it'll change, but it has dry weather on the 18th, which is good. And there'd be a warm front down to our south. Temperatures on the GFS, just for kicks, on the 17th, we'd be talking 72, and then probably cooler on that Saturday. Yeah, like 66 or so on that Saturday. It's a little bit cooler. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Jeff, you have pumpkins coming up already? We planted it. We threw all of our old pumpkins out in this like patch out by a tree that we have. And I'm not seeing anything yet, but I got to go check. Are the pumpkins are already coming up? Like you see the little leaves? Like I think it starts with 2 leaves, right? And the yellow flowers before the vines start. I'm going to go check. I'm really excited. Let's see. Rich, that's awesome. I don't know how far behind I am in comments. Rich says, what time Tuesday morning? Well, I'll be okay at 4 a.m. to take a shower. That's so funny. And Rich says we're alike in our lightning. I'm scared of lightning. Rich is too. We don't take showers if there's any thunder around. Gosh, Rich, I know. I've been late for work before because I will not get in the shower. Rich, in terms of timing, it should be after 4 a.m. That's what it looks like right now. This could always speed up, but as of right now, that's what it looks like. Okay. Let's see. Elijah says, I know it's early. Northwest India hasn't seen a hail yet. That's so funny. Elijah, you're always asking me about hail. That's funny, though, because, well, I probably shouldn't say this. We need a good hailstorm, too, because there's a portion of our roof that needs replaced. So I'm just going to get into that. Elijah, hail threat, I could see some hail on Wednesday. It's not a slam dunk, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's so funny. Yeah, Jill, they have. Yeah, in terms of the damaging tornadoes over west. Yeah, they've had. It's really been a quiet spring until the last couple of weeks for sure. Ashley, don't worry about tornado threat. I think it's more damaging wind threat Tuesday. And again, this line will be fading when it moves in. So that's some good news. Okay. Robin, that's a good question. What makes a lake break up good storms? Just the wind flow? That's a really good question. So the lake doesn't always break up storms, but it doesn't always. It depends on the atmospheric setup. It's not usually the wind flow. In fact, the wind flow often in the late spring, starting in summer, with the lake breeze that comes in, that will often trigger storms inland that can move out over. But what it is if you think about it, Robin, out over the lake, it's cold, right? The water temperature is still in the 40s, low 50s, depending on where you are. And so all that cold water creates this dome of cold air out over the water. It doesn't heat up like the land does. So if you picture the lake, it's got this big dome of cold air out over it, all right? Meanwhile, the land is heating up, and oftentimes we're getting in the 70s and 80s because the land is heating up. And so when a storm is going and coming in on 70 to 80 degree temperatures, it's used to that, all right? It gets colder aloft, sure. But when that storm goes out over the lake, it's like running into a wintertime setup where it's in the 40s and 50s out over the lake. And so it changes. Storms can still survive that, especially if they're elevated way up high. But oftentimes it will hit the lake and it'll disrupt the way the storm is built. And the storm will have to kind of restructure itself with that cold air intrusion. So it doesn't always break up storms, but oftentimes we will see that. Not because of the wind flow, but because there's a dome of cold air out over the lake. It's like it's all of a sudden running into a wintertime atmosphere, if that makes sense. Ashley, no, I don't see bad ones right now. I think it's kind of a shot in the dark saying we're going to get tornadoes out of either of these rounds. So we'll see. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Jeff, thanks for the update on the pumpkins and the cilantro too. That's great. Yeah, Ashley, me too. I totally get it. Susan's the same way. She doesn't get in the shower if it's storming. Yeah, that's awesome. Robin, I like the question. I really appreciate that. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. It's bedtime for me. We got morning show tomorrow, so that's fun. So I hope I answered everything. I mean, that's what we're looking at this week, Tuesday morning, and then another thread on Wednesday. So Okay, that's where we're going this week. Temperatures will remain pretty nice, which is good. 60s and 70s. That's good in my book. So there's that. All right, we'll have an update on the storm threat. We'll give you another update tomorrow morning. We've got one, but then we'll give you one tomorrow night as well before I head to bed. We'll be with you Tuesday morning if needed as those storms roll through. And then Wednesday as well. I mean, we're here all week, okay? All right, so that's where we're going. Okay, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining me on our Sunday evening Region Weather Live. Again, X-Rock 105 or 103.9, Indiana 105.5, and Z107.1 all this week. We'll have your updates, and regionweather.com every single day. We have our update for you that goes to your email if you want. Good stuff. So there's ways to stay plugged in, okay? All right, have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, okay?